What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Paddy Pimblett has once again called out Ilia, reigniting the tension between the two. In a recent video uploaded to Paddy's YouTube channel, he spoke directly about wanting the fight to finally be made and accused Ilia of delaying the process. According to Paddy, Ilia has spent a long time talking about him publicly, saying he doesn't deserve to be in the same cage, yet when the opportunity comes to make the fight, Paddy claims Ilia isn't responding the same way. Paddy explained that after Ilia's last fight, he stepped into the cage and Ilia pushed him, making it seem like the matchup was inevitable. At that moment, Paddy believed everything was set and the fight was on its way. But now he says all he is hearing is that Ilia is stalling and not giving a clear yes. Paddy emphasized that if Ilia truly believes he is the superior fighter, then there should be no hesitation at all. If Ilia thinks Paddy is an easy fight, then he should just sign and prove it. Paddy repeated that he has been ready from the start. He reminded fans that Ilia has always talked confidently about beating him down, yet now, according to Paddy, the energy has shifted. To close out his message, Paddy quoted Tyson Fury, saying, "Sign the contract, big boy." He made it clear that he is prepared, willing, and waiting for Ilia to step up and make the matchup official. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news. There's a lot of attention on Arman as he prepares for his upcoming fight on the UFC Qatar card on November 22nd. This matchup against Dan Hooker is a big one, especially considering everything that followed the Islam Makhachev fight. Arman hasn't stepped into the UFC octagon since he faced Charles Oliveira back in April of 2024, so there's understandable pressure and curiosity around how he will look and how he will perform after that time away. The stakes are high and the spotlight is back on him. Many believe this is a chance for Arman to remind everyone of his skill level and the potential he has to be a major contender in the division. One of the voices weighing in on this fight is Beneil Dariush. In a conversation with MMA Junkie's Mike Bone, Beneil shared his thoughts on the matchup and what he expects to see. He gave respect to both fighters, but he made it clear that he thinks Arman has the tools to win this fight dominantly. However, Beneil also explained that the 5-round aspect of this fight adds an interesting dynamic. He pointed out that Dan Hooker has always been known for being tough, resilient, and willing to push through adversity. Beneil said that even if Dan doesn't win the first couple of rounds, as long as he keeps the fight close and forces Arman to work, the later rounds could become very challenging. That's where the fight could become unpredictable, and that's what makes it so intriguing. He described Dan as a dog in the best sense of the word, meaning he's not going to back down, he's not going to fold under pressure, and he's going to stay in the fight mentally and physically no matter what. If Dan can create those moments where Arman is forced to dig deep, the momentum could shift. But at the same time, Beneil believes that stylistically and skill-wise, Arman is in a strong position to control the fight if he implements his game correctly from the start. Ultimately, Beneil said this fight should be really fun to watch, not only because of the technical matchup, but because of the mental battle that comes with a 5-round fight. He acknowledged that all eyes are on Arman, and this gives him the opportunity to make a statement, show growth, and show exactly where he stands inside this division. Moving on to another news. Dana White recently spoke about Gable Steveson and the possibility of him making his way into the UFC in the future. During an interview with Jim Rome, Dana was asked directly about Steveson and how his transition into MMA is being viewed. For anyone unfamiliar, Gable Steveson is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, an athlete who has competed at the absolute highest level of physical performance and pressure. He has the pedigree, he has the credentials, and he has the kind of raw athletic ability that immediately draws attention in the world of combat sports. Recently, Steveson stepped into his first professional MMA fight under the promotion Dirty Boxing. In that debut, he showcased explosive power and precision. He knocked out his opponent in under 30 seconds, making it very clear that he is not just experimenting with the sport, but truly bringing his world-class wrestling foundation into a new arena. That kind of debut naturally sparked conversation, and it didn't take long for people to start asking when and if the UFC would try to sign him. Dana talked about the importance of observing how these transitions unfold. He said when you have someone who is a physical freak, someone who is unbelievably talented athletically, and someone who has competed at the highest level of competition, seeing how they adapt to mixed martial arts becomes extremely interesting. The UFC is definitely paying attention. They're watching his progression, his development, and how he handles the shift from wrestling into full-spectrum combat. The interviewer then asked what exactly Dana would need to see before bringing him into the UFC. Dana referenced Brock Lesnar as an example, pointing out that Brock came from the world of pro wrestling, but because he was such a powerful and accomplished wrestler, he was able to transition successfully and even become UFC heavyweight champion. He contrasted that by saying that Steveson is actually taking a different route. Instead of coming in immediately, he is building experience in smaller promotions, gaining real MMA cage time, learning striking, transitioning, and dealing with live resistance in mixed skill environments. Dana went on to say that if Steveson continues doing things the right way, develops his overall game, and continues gaining real fight experience, it is almost inevitable that he will eventually end up in the UFC. When that time comes, comes, fans will finally get to see how far that combination of wrestling excellence, athleticism, and dedication can truly go in the world's biggest MMA promotion. Moving on to another news, Dana White has issued a strong warning to all UFC fighters regarding betting violations, especially in light of the recent controversy surrounding Isaac Dulgarian. Speaking during the same interview, White made it clear that the organization will not tolerate any attempts to manipulate fights or participate in illegal betting schemes. His tone was direct and firm, stressing that anyone who tries to cheat the system and compromise the integrity of the sport will face severe consequences. According to White, if a fighter comes into the UFC and attempts to take advantage of the sport for financial gain through fight fixing or betting manipulation, the UFC will treat them as an enemy rather than a partner. He stated that he will personally do everything in his power to make sure that anyone who intentionally cheats ends up facing serious legal punishment, even to the point of going to prison. White also pointed out that, following the Dulgarian situation, several fighters publicly claimed they had been approached in the past to throw fights. He expressed frustration with the fact that these fighters only came forward after the controversy gained public attention. He questioned why they did not report these approaches immediately to the UFC or to authorities. In his words, if someone receives an offer to fix a fight, that is something that needs to be reported right away. Waiting until later and only mentioning it when the issue is in the news raises serious concerns. At this stage, White made it clear that the investigation surrounding Dulgarian is still ongoing. While the situation does not look good, there is currently no concrete proof that Dulgarian participated in wrongdoing. The UFC is allowing the investigation to move forward before making final decisions. White explained that moving forward, if the organization receives credible information suggesting that a fight may be compromised, they will not hesitate to pull the fight entirely, even if that means doing so last minute. He emphasized that the UFC is constantly adjusting policies and procedures to ensure fairness and protect the sport. White acknowledged that this entire situation is a work in progress, but the message he delivered was unmistakable. The UFC will protect the integrity of competition. Anyone caught cheating will face the full force of consequences, legal and professional. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones has opened up about the situation surrounding the failed heavyweight title fight with Tom Aspinall, a matchup that was once expected to be one of the biggest events in UFC history. For months, Dana White had expressed confidence that the former long-reigning champion Jon Jones would defend his belt against the rising interim champion Tom Aspinall. At that time, the stage seemed set for a massive showdown, one that fans believed would settle who truly owned the heavyweight throne. But instead of that fight materializing, things took a different turn. Jones announced his retirement, while Aspinall moved forward and captured the undisputed heavyweight title, successfully defending it in a fight that ended in a no contest just 12 days ago. Dana White later revealed that Jones had agreed to the fight at one point, but then changed his mind. Soon after, Ariel Helwani reported that Jones was even offered around $30 million for the bout, yet pulled out just a day after initially accepting. At that moment, fans were left confused, and many pointed fingers in Jones's direction. Now, Jones himself is acknowledging that the situation did not unfold the right way, and that he holds responsibility for how things ended. During a recent appearance on the No Scripts podcast, Jones spoke with honesty about how he views the situation today. He said his biggest short-term goal is to be part of next year's historic UFC event at the White House, something Dana White has hinted is in the works. Jones made it clear that he hopes to repair his relationship with Dana, someone he credits for changing not only his life, but also the lives of his children. He explained that he and Dana had a verbal agreement that did not reach a finalized contract, but the way things were handled on his end was not right. He emphasized that he was wrong in how the situation played out, and that he wishes he could sit down with Dana face to face, apologize, and move forward. Jones expressed that when things are good between him and Dana, he feels like he is one of Dana's favorite fighters. But when things are rocky, he joked that he is probably the reason Dana has a bald head. The comment was lighthearted, but the message behind it was serious. Jones wants to make things right, move past the tension, and get back to doing what he does best, which is creating big moments, big fights, and generating massive excitement for the fans. He made it clear that he is ready to return, not just for himself, but for the sport and the fans who have supported him through every high and low. There is a sense that Jones still believes there are major chapters left to be written in his story, and repairing the relationship with Dana is the key to opening that door again. Moving on to another news, Michael Chandler recently shared his breakdown of the upcoming clash between Islam Makhachev and Jedem, set to headline UFC 322 next Saturday. Speaking with Ariel Helwani, Chandler explained in detail how he sees the fight playing out, and he did not hesitate to acknowledge the strengths on both sides. According to Chandler, the size difference between the two fighters is not going to be a major issue. He emphasized that Islam is someone who has spent his entire career training with larger and smaller partners alike. In his words, Islam is the type of fighter who has likely sparred with 155ers, 170ers, even 185 and 205ers on a regular regular basis. Because of this, Chandler believes strength and size will not be a deciding factor here. What he did highlight, however, is the dynamic contrast between JDM's striking and Islam's grappling. Chandler described JDM as a tough, straightforward, and highly effective striker. He said that JDM doesn't rely on complicated setups or deceptive movement. Instead, he's extremely sharp and devastating with the basics. A little more range, a little more reach, and a style built on precision and power make him dangerous from the opening bell. Chandler noted that when you look at how Islam stood with Dustin Poirier, you can see that Islam is more than capable of holding his own in striking exchanges. But Chandler was quick to add that, from his experience, Dustin hits hard, yet not quite as hard as JDM. That raw punching power, according to Chandler, could be the real game changer. Chandler believes Islam will likely get tagged early in the fight. The real question in his mind is how quickly Islam goes to his wrestling. Everyone knows that once Islam gets into his grappling rhythm, he can control positions, drain energy, and dictate the pace. But Chandler wonders whether JDM's takedown defense will hold long enough to keep the fight in striking range where he thrives. If JDM can deny those early takedowns and continue landing clean shots, Islam might find himself in unfamiliar waters. On the other hand, if Islam gets into his wrestling groove from the start, the battle could shift very quickly in his favor. Even though Chandler gave JDM a slight edge, he made it very clear that he would not be surprised to see Islam walk away still holding the belt. And if that happens, there is an entirely new storyline waiting. A potential super fight with Ilia would immediately become one of the biggest topics in the sport. Chandler wrapped his thoughts by saying this sport is unpredictable, wild, and full of sudden shifts, and this matchup is a perfect example of that. Moving on to another news. This situation took a surprising turn when rumors began circulating online about Factor X, the gym where Isaac trained. As speculation around a gambling scandal continued to spread, a user on Twitter named Harry Mack, who has been closely covering the situation from the start, claimed that the FBI had raided Factor X. This report quickly gained traction, with many people assuming the worst and believing the gym was directly tied to the controversy. The rumor spread fast, leading to confusion, frustration, and a lot of heated discussion within the MMA community. However, Factor X responded swiftly. The gym released an official statement across their social media platforms to shut down the narrative. They explained clearly that there was no FBI raid, and the rumor was entirely false. In their statement, they said there was a false report circulating that Factor X had been raided by the FBI following last weekend's UFC event, and they wanted to make it absolutely clear that this did not happen. The gym emphasized that the allegations suggesting they had any involvement in fight fixing, whether recently or at any point in their history, were both devastating and heartbreaking for them to hear. They highlighted that Factor X is a family-owned gym that has been part of their local community for over 15 years, building strong relationships, trust, and a reputation for honest work and serious dedication to the sport. They stated firmly that they stand by their innocence and would even welcome a visit from the FBI because they have absolutely nothing to hide. The message stressed that when situations like this unfold, people tend to form opinions based on limited information, especially from the outside looking in. The gym acknowledged that it is human nature to speculate, but they expressed confidence that the truth would eventually come out. They said justice will be served and their good name will be restored in time. Until then, they asked for continued support, prayers, and patience as they navigate the emotional and reputational weight of these accusations. They also made it clear that their focus remains on their athletes, their training environment, and maintaining the values that built their gym from day one. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones has stirred up controversy, once again by taking direct aim at Tom Aspinall, accusing him of quitting when things get difficult inside the octagon. In the same recent interview where Jones discussed his regrets and his desire to reconcile with Dana White, he shifted the conversation toward Aspinall's mentality as a fighter. Jones claimed that Aspinall has a pattern of shutting down the moment he faces adversity. Jones said that when Aspinall gets hurt, it looks like everything just stops for him instantly. He brought up the eye poke situation, insisting that Aspinall reacted too quickly and showed no attempt to fight through the discomfort. According to Jones, when the poke happened, Aspinall didn't even try to blink it out or look for a second to adjust. Jones pointed out that when he himself has faced similar situations in front of millions of viewers, he did everything in his power to continue before stopping. He implied that Aspinall, by contrast, gave up immediately without pushing through. He then referenced Aspinall's fight with Curtis Blades, where Aspinall suffered a knee injury. Jones pointed out that there was no attempt to continue, no limping, no effort to stand or see if it could hold up. He suggested that Aspinall simply accepted that he couldn't go on and showed no urgency to fight through the pain, framing it as another instance of what he sees as quitting behavior. Jones described it as a pattern, using the phrase immediately repeatedly to underline how quickly Aspinall shuts down once something goes wrong. Jones also mentioned another fight in which Aspinall tapped to an ankle lock. He noted that Aspinall didn't attempt to fight the hands, didn't try to roll, didn't show any of the signs of a fighter resisting nothing until the very last moment. According to Jones, the tap came as soon as the pressure was applied, reinforcing his argument that Aspinall lacks that deep, relentless intensity that separates good fighters from great ones. Jones went as far as to say that Aspinall doesn't have that dog in him, that instinct of kill or be killed that he believes defines champions at the highest level. These comments are sure to fuel tension between the two heavyweights, especially given the history surrounding their failed matchup. With Jones expressing interest in returning and Aspinall now established as champion, the possibility of this rivalry turning into a real fight remains on the table. Moving on to another news, Dana White has provided a clear update regarding Tom Aspinall's recent eye injury and the status of his potential rematch with Ciryl Gane. During an appearance on the Jim Rome show, the UFC CEO addressed the situation, directly reassuring fans that Aspinall avoided any serious or long-term damage. According to White, despite the unfortunate ending to the fight, there were no signs of a detached retina or any kind of severe injury that would threaten Aspinall's career or require extended recovery. The moment the main event ended due to the eye poke, it left both fighters, the crowd, and everyone watching feeling stunned. The matchup had been heating up, momentum was building, and it appeared to be turning into a competitive and compelling heavyweight fight. To have it stop abruptly in that way, White explained, was simply brutal. White stated that Aspinall is now at home recovering. The UFC is taking a patient approach, waiting for the medical clearance that will determine when Aspinall can return to action. White emphasized that as soon as Aspinall is medically cleared, the rematch with Ciryl Gane will be booked. There is no hesitation, no debate, and no alternative matchup being prepared in the meantime. The organization fully intends to run the fight back. The goal is to give fans the conclusion they were robbed of, and to give both fighters the opportunity to compete without the controversy of an accidental foul ending the contest. When asked about the timeline for Aspinall's recovery, White explained that they have not been informed of any complications. There is no lasting damage, no retinal tear, and nothing indicating long-term vision issues. Because of that, the expectation is that healing will progress normally. Once the doctors clear Aspinall to resume training and eventually fighting, the UFC will move forward and schedule the rematch. White reiterated that both fighters deserve the chance to settle things properly in the octagon. The tone of White's update made it clear that the promotion sees this rematch as the obvious next step. The first fight was already showing promise of becoming a memorable heavyweight showcase before the accidental eye poke abruptly ended it. The UFC is committed to letting Aspinall recover fully, then revisiting the matchup so that fans can finally see a decisive outcome, one earned clean and without interruption. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.